today I thought, I'm just waiting to make sure I go live because my internet's not been great lately, but I thought I'd jump online and do a bit of a cyclone prep video. So you would have seen this morning I put out a little top tip about checking your fridge this morning. Openly, like we haven't got the cyclone yet, thank goodness. So now is the time, but I bet like us, you've cleaned your yards, you've put everything away that should be away, you've got all the things, you've done the shops already, you do not want to do them today. Okay, that would be crazy. So I'm betting like us, you're feeling organized, but you're like, okay, now what do I do? And I guess the thing I had overlooked was actually, what have I got in the fridge that needs using? So just, maybe the power's going to go out. And if it's going to go out, they're saying be ready for 3 days. So a couple of things I'm starting to think about. I don't want to open my fridge or freezer often, if at all. The longer I can keep them shut, the better, right? The more I can have frozen, the better. The more that freezer is stacked full of frozen stuff, the better it will stay frozen. So what's in my fridge right now is I open the door that needs to go in the freezer now so it can freeze before potentially the power may get cut, who knows, in the coming days. So things like extra milk, cream you've bought. Butter is generally okay at room temperature, so I wouldn't worry about butter. What else have you got in there? Your veggie stock, it'll be fine. As long as you have no protein in it, it will be fine after, sitting in a fridge for a couple of days. So long as there's no protein in there or dairy, because it's just salted veggies. Wish I had some. I've actually run out. So today would be awesome to actually make that if I had the excess stuff in the fridge to do so. But we're actually due to shop soon, so I'm on the end of my shopping round. So anyway, in the fridge, do you have meat? If so, cook it up today, steam it. If it's a chook, steam it in the top, cool it down, stick it in the freezer. If it's strips of, beef, cook them off, put them away, okay? And do it as soon as you can so that they're cool, they're frozen, and they're not going to be chucked out. The bin man will thank you, as will your back pocket, is what I said today in the post. But now that you've done that, what's next? And prepping, I guess, for stuff that can stay out is where my brain went next. If by chance the freezers and the fridges do go off, what can I do? So by the way, if you're watching on today, say hello on Facebook. If you're watching YouTube tonight from all across the world, I hope you are safe wherever you are. What can I have that the kids, the hubby, can snack on without opening the fridge? That'll be a don't open. And what sort of solider food can be left out or put in the fridge right now, but then if it gets warm, it doesn't matter. Warm's the wrong word, but you know what I mean. Hello, Gail. Lovely to see you on today. Hey, Chris. That's where my brain went to after looking at, hey, what's in my fridge that actually needs to now just go in the freezer or be cooked because it was already frozen and now it's defrosted and I can't refreeze it. That's something important to know. If you've bought something frozen or you came home, chucked it in the freezer, and then you were like, okay, we're going to cook that, and we put it in the fridge, and then it never got cooked, you can't go refreeze something. Well, you can, but it's not a great idea, okay? It then is more prone to having bacteria that can make you sick. And the last thing you need when a cyclone is coming is to have a stomach ache, okay? So that was the first thing. Second thing is this whole concept of what can I put that's snacky? What can I do that, people can just reach for if they're hungry, if they're anxious, maybe if there's volunteers around and they need food as well. And so thankfully in our freezer, we actually already have that covered. Every single month I've been doing a 5 recipe batch cook snack stuff. Now I'm going to put the link in a post that will come up soon on Facebook this morning, and that actually goes to the recipes I have used to make stuff. So biscuits, cakes, bliss ball style slices, things that can be done quickly that you don't have to actually spend time rolling. You can just push it in a tray and let it go hard. Things like that again, it's that grab to when you're hungry, you want to eat. But then what about more substance stuff? So that's what I'm coming on to cook with you today is, I was like, okay, what can we put on the bench if we needed to? And you go-tos, and thankfully we've got a Thermomix. How incredibly grateful am I for that? Is your breads, your flatbreads, your wraps, your pizza, your focaccias, those sorts of things. Now, if you've got your vacuum seals, they are fantastic for being able to make these last even longer. because once they're cool, you can suck the air out. They're going to last longer. Same with those snacks. Ours are already in the freezer because they get made as a massive batch and they go in the freezer. And they're the things that are, I think, I may mention, we won't go back there. So I told you what they were. So today we're going to make a massive loaf of, the biggest loaf we can actually make in the Thermomix of, and you could turn this into a bread roll, you could turn this into focaccia, you could turn this into pizza. It is actually based on the pizza dough. It's going to be, I'm going to make a massive amount of bread rolls, then I'm going to let them cool, and I'm just going to vacuum seal them as well. Okay, so then after that we're going to make a soup. Now the soup is great because you can look what's in your crisper. Again, nothing worse than soft, limp veggies in 5 days' time if the power's been out, right? So what have you got in there? Do you have a bag of carrots? Have you got a pumpkin? If you've got an uncut pumpkin, I need to make this note because I've met a lot of people who actually didn't realize this. And I know a lot of you guys who are, how do I say it, more mature folk, you know this, but pumpkins, if they're not cut, they can sit on a shelf. Good morning, Lorraine. So if you've got a whole pumpkin, it can sit out, no problem. Even if it ends up sitting in the fridge for a couple of days warm, just cut the yucky side bits off and keep going with it after the power comes back, okay? But it's a good one though for prepping ahead, or any soup, so long as it doesn't have meat stock in it. Okay, if it has meat stock, you have to fridge or freezer it. So I don't have meat stock. You guys know me. I don't actually bother with meat stock ever. I always use veggie stock, which I'm also out of. But you can't, and also dairy. Dairy and meat are going to make things non-shelf stable. Okay, so don't go, just be cautious as you're making your soups that you want to just be able to sit aside. Like mine will go in the fridge, but if the fridge loses power and it's out of power for a while, it'll still be safe to eat. 3 days later, there will not be any dairy in it. There will not be any meat in it, okay? So, but look in your fridge today, open the crisper. What have I got in there that's gonna not last if it gets room temperature? And like your carrots are a pretty prime example. They've always been kept cold. Zucchini will not last. Usually cauliflower does a little bit okay. Broccoli won't last, so just have a look at that. Good morning, Robin. We're just chatting through what we can do in preparation for the cyclone coming and what we can have that can actually be bench stable or fridge stable, but then if the fridge defrosts, it's actually going to be okay still. So, yeah, so let's get started on this pizza dough recipe to start off with. And by the way, if you guys have any tips, chuck them in the chat. Okay, like I'm not the source of all information. I've never been through a cyclone before, but I'm just thinking, how can I, support you guys to feel like you've got this under control? Like there's a lot of things we can't control, but what we can control is, these little steps ahead now as we're kind of in this waiting stage. Like I bet you're like me, the yard's done, the gutters are clean, everything that's going to blow away is put away, like you've cleaned up all you can clean up. It's just like okay, we're just waiting now. Hello, Kelly. Lovely to see you on as well. So, pizza dough first, because I'm actually going to recycle my bowl. Now, I'm making a double batch, and I would suggest you do too, even if it's just you and your other half. This will make, you probably get 24 loaves out of it. Little loaves, what am I saying? Bread rolls out of it, okay? So I would say, make a big batch because you don't know who else you may need to feed. Maybe the people around you are not actually, ready for this, okay? So it's well worth, I think, having a little think about that. Now I'm just going to grab some water and I'm doing a double batch. So that, I was going to hopefully pick up the kettle, but the kettle is empty. No surprises there. We generally use our kettle to water our plants. Strange, I know. All right, that's probably too much water. Let's see. So hence is empty. All right, my chickens are not fussed about the upcoming weather, let me tell you. Not worried in the least, they are. They're out there having the best time of their life. So I'm looking for 440, okay, that's what I'm aiming for here. I love that the scales on the TM have memory. So I'll put that in. Yeah, that's close enough. I'm about, 30 grams short. That's a tablespoon and a half. It won't matter. I can't be bothered fussing around. Could put sugar in it, can't be bothered. Okay, 2 teaspoons of instant dried yeast, which I'm going to make 4 teaspoons because I'm doubling it. And the thing is I love is about making like a big batch. I mean, it's freezable as well. The dough is freezable before you cook it. It's also freezable at the point of, it's now cold and you've cooked it and it's ready to eat. You can actually freeze it at that point as well, or you can leave it on the bench as well. Now, you've got a generator. I love that, Kelly. Very cool. Very important to keep your freezer cold, right? That's the main thing. Okay, on with the lid, heat this up. Now it's warm enough here, I don't need to, I'm stirring it through, sorry, I'm not going to do that. All right, 400 grams of baker's flour. All right, in this goes. So we're doing 800 to doing the double. And as I said, this is pretty much capacity of what it can cope with. The Thermomix can cope with kneading well. Okay. While this is kneading in a second, I'm going to start prepping my veggies for the soup. And that's what I love, right? It's hands-free cooking. Like even if you're making a prep ahead list that'll come out soon, you know, there's so much time to just go do other stuff. Like, I just love that. I do not take that for granted, the fact that we've got this time when a Thermomix is working that we can go do the things that need to get done. Okay, so 60 grams of oil, because I'm doubling it. 65, close enough's good enough. The other thing I'd really encourage you to do is as you look at the prep ahead stuff and you decide, hey, I'm going to make the hazelnut biscuits or whatever, you don't have hazelnuts, well, open the drawer, what have you got? Open your cupboard, what have you got? You might have almonds. Make the hazelnut, raisin, chocolate biscuits with almonds. Like, don't have chocolate chips, swapping, what are they called? Sultanas. Don't have self-raising flour. Go find my video where you turn plain flour into self-raising flour. Like, you guys have been watching me, most of you, long enough to know that, you know, the last thing I want you to do is dash to the shops and add to the chaos. So what have you got? You know, and work with the realms of what you've got, and that knowledge of substitutions and swapping that we've been doing for quite some time now, where I've really been, you know, and you guys have your pantry stuffed. I know you do. I know you guys have solid pantries where you can bake up a storm, and most of you even have things like, because you've had my pantry list before, you've got your milk powder. So you're like, radio, I mean, as much as coffee's not the same with milk powder milk, it'll do. You know, when you want to make a recipe that has milk in it, don't dash to the shops. Or maybe you've got coconut cream that you can substitute in, things like that. All right, we've got a 2-minute knead happening. So I'm going to prep now my pumpkin. Now I've already prepped the onions. I'm going to leave the skin on a bit of them. They're homegrown, so I'm not worried about, you know, what they're coming with. So I'm going to leave, just because I can't be bothered, in all honesty, you know, like I'm at that point, I'm mentally at that point where I can't be bothered. I did press a bit of the skin. I took a bit of the skin off that, but again, I just went, can't be bothered. The Thermomix is going to make this silky smooth, so I'm really not fussed about those bits. I have made soups on many occasions leaving the husk on it, okay? You do not know it's there at the end, okay? So that's ready to go. What I haven't got ready to go is my pumpkin, and I'm going to leave seeds in and skin on today for the same reason, because I just can't be bothered, okay? This is about keeping it easy. You may not have pumpkin, you may have tomatoes, a box of tomatoes, make a tomato soup. There is a mixed, I think there's a mixed veggie soup, or maybe it's just called veggie soup on Cookidoo. Just use what you've got. The only thing you have to sometimes change if you're using what you've got is sometimes you do need to adjust your water. It might be too thick the first instance and you have to thicken it up. Sorry, water it down. If it's too runny, corn flour is your best friend, and it'll only be too runny if you chucked in things like zucchinis and capsicum, not capsicum. What's it called? Oh, I've lost the name. It's green, it's long. Celery, that's the one. Green and long, that narrows it down to like a whole lot of veggies. Celery, you know, those more watery veggies can sometimes produce a more liquid soup. So if that's the case, corn flour, just mix up. And I know you've got corn flour. If you don't have corn flour, you can use plain flour as well. Slightly different texture. But you know, when you're prepping for a cyclone, who cares? Food will be food, okay? Hopefully you've got a little stove, you can rewarm it, but you know, you can have cold soup. Not ideal, but you know, like not like going to a restaurant, but you know, if we're all power outage, we'll just drink it cold. So you can see that's not quite done. You know why? Because it's double. So let's just scrape the sides down, and we're gonna put on a bit longer. It usually does take double time to knead. when you've got that in there, okay? So, yeah, like have a look. Stock take your fridge right now, your crisper, what's in there, okay? You really don't want to let that go to waste. If there's no power and you can't cook it up. So now's a great time to get that happening. I'm just going to take this off so I can have a look at what's happening. I might need to put the spatula in. And as I mentioned, this is the most it can kind of cope with. 800 grams of flour. Hello, and you don't have to worry about a cyclone. You're all the way over there. So I'm just making sure this top stuff can be part of the kneading process, but it doesn't end up on top on its own. Okay, I've got a zucchini that does need using. Hello. It decided to stop early. Let's go again. So it's looking a bit sad. Somebody use it. I use the ends. They're okay. As long as they're not moldy, they're okay. I would chuck a carrot in. We're out of carrots. What else? I do have tomatoes. However, we cook on the barbecue for brekkie every single morning. So we've got plenty of gas. Have you got your gas bottle filled? Just checking. So we use tomatoes on the barbecue in the morning. So I'm going to leave them. Although I've also got them in the veggie patch. So I could do a tomato soup this morning. We'll see. We'll see what today brings. See what my brain can cope with today. Okay. Oh, I want to stop it early, but I'll leave it. Patience. Okay, tray, silicon mat. I'm going to stop it early just because I'm impatient. Because I actually want to get this soup on. What I'm going to do, now I'm going to do my rolls where I actually don't, just checking that's coming together. Yeah, that's fine. I actually do not wait for it to prove, only because, well, I'm impatient. Okay, other things to do today. Now, I'm not going to worry about the dough that remains in here for the soup. Won't particularly bother me. It'll just become part of the soup, but I'm scraping out a little bit. Okay, I'll come back to that in a minute. It's not the most ideal dough, but in a minute of this, I'll show you. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw, I put on Facebook yesterday. It was my birthday yesterday. And my 12-year-old made me croissants, wholemeal croissants. Same flour as this. You guys notice it's not like white because it's wholemeal. It's unbleached wholemeal baker's flour. Anyway, they were the most beautiful croissants I think I've ever had in a long time. Like sometimes when you make wholemeal stuff, it's got a density to it, like it's a different texture, and we do a lot of sourdough as well. But I'm just going to leave that. We'll come back to that in a second. And yeah, he made these croissants over the day previous, because that's kind of our little ritual we have, that most of the time the birthday person with dad makes croissants. And I didn't. I was like, everybody's cooking for me today. And he made these beautiful, and they were so fluffy. Like, I was just like, wow, these the best we've had ever. So who needs store-bought when you've got a Thermomix? All right, so thank you guys. All right, let's go to the recipe for this. So you can see I've left the bowl. I do have a second bowl. I don't want to dirty two bowls. All right, start cooking. Yes, I'll quit the other recipe. How good is this guided recipes? Like, I know I've been showing you manual cooking lately, which certainly has its place, but you know, like when life gets overwhelming, to be able to type in, so this would be what I would encourage you to do as well. If you are not sure what to do with something in your fridge today, either comment and go, hey, I've got sausages, okay, whatever they might be, which by the way, you should see how I steamed those sausages the other day, because you could then steam your sausages, freeze them, and then you just get them out and flash them on the barbecue or in a fry pan. Powerless is fine, and they'll be ready to go, okay, if you got sausages. But type into Cookidoo was what I was going to say. Type into Cookidoo, hey, I've got whatever you've got in the fridge, broccoli, whole lot of broccoli, and then see what you can use it up for, so that you're either eating it today or tomorrow morning or tomorrow before Thursday night, or it's something that you can be organized ahead knowing, hey, I've got a few nights worth of food. I've got enough snacks that I could eat snacks for a week. Okay, so 2 garlic cloves. As I said, these have a bit of husk on them. I just can't be bothered. Root ginger, don't have that. Well, actually I do, but I'm not going to use it. Coconut oil, I don't. I must have pulled up a really weird, oh, it's coconut soup. That's all right. We'll just roll with that. Pumpkin, I've got, okay, so just FYI. Told ya, brain's not all here at the moment. Okay? Between TM7 announcements, TM6 run out sales, and now ELF And my birthday, it's just like, I'm like, this does not seem right, this recipe. It's not the one I thought it was. That's okay. So it is a butternut squash and coconut soup. But I'm going to show you how to use it anyway, because sometimes we have those days. So next, all right, well, let's chop this down. Lid on, as long as I remember to put the measuring cup in place, right? Because nobody wants to have onion eyes. All right, 3 seconds, speed 5, off we go. Those of you who have been around a long time, do you remember when I used to be in my red kitchen? And it was really enclosed. This one I'm not so enclosed. You've seen this spin around and you know what, the stove's just here and stuff. I used to get onion eyes all the time. I'm so grateful in a different kitchen that doesn't happen. I didn't realise this morning, I was like, I don't get onion eyes very often here. Look at that. How good's that look? Okay, next. All right, 5 minutes, 100 degrees, speed 1. Take the measuring cup off because we want this to like soften and smell divine. And if you do have, you know, ginger, put it in. If you've got ginger powder, put it in. If you don't want ginger, don't put it in. Or if you're allergic to it, and I've got some customers who can't have ginger, leave it out. If you can't do garlic, but you can do leek greens, put that in, okay? Put in what you've got. All right, now while that's happening, let's do this. Now these are my quick bread rolls. Stay there, please, Trey. Just going to slice this up into however many you want. Now, they still need a proof, so you're not eliminating the proof. It's just that you're doing it after you've shaped them, okay? Let's see how many. Now, it depends what size you want them to be. Oh, Lisa, calm the farm. Okay. So, you know what? I'm going to do 12 big ones. Oh, I'm going to regret that decision, I think. I'll just see. I may make them small again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I can't count today either. I was supposed to be 6 and I made 7. Alrighty. Okay. Now those of you with caravans, I know a lot of you guys are semi-retired or traveling with caravans or whatever the case might be. Are your water tanks on your caravan filled? Okay. It's a good way to make sure you've got drinking water if something happens to that, but also it holds your caravan down, okay? Camper trailer friends, how are your camper trailer water bottles filled? Okay, same question. You know, something we don't always think about, right? Got this thing outside, but we didn't realise that, oh, hang on, it holds water, yeah? Great time to fill that up if you haven't already thought about that. You're probably all over it, but, you know, while I think about it, while I make bread rolls, now, by the way, if you wanted to turn this into pizza, just roll it out flat. You can freeze it like that, ready to go. If you wanted to make this into a big loaf of bread, then I'd probably prove it first and then shape it like I am now. Now, I probably should talk about shaping, and some of you have seen this heaps of times. You're wanting to create a nice, not flat, but a nice-ish top, okay? So you've got all the folded bits underneath. Now, every dough is a bit different, and as I said, I've got a wholemeal dough, so mine's drier, and I think I pulled that water a little less as well, but then the oil was up, so. By the way, you know how I skipped over before the putting of the coconut oil? Don't swap that for butter, because it won't then be shelf stable. Just picked up a new van, topped up everything. I love that, Lorraine. Yay, congratulations on the van. That's exciting. Very cool. You are set then. You have gas, you have somewhere to cook, you have water, you are ready and organised. All right. Yeah. All right. 2 minutes. See how we can multitask with a Thermomix? Those who don't have a Thermomix yet, this is what it's about. This is why we do it, right? I can somewhat have a conversation. I'm not great at multitasking, but I can certainly make bread rolls while my Thermomix is cooking for me. Like, how cool is that? Okay, so, okay. So look, little bread rolls. I'm actually only making 12. I'll probably make more before the day is out. We'll see how we go. We do have battery here, so if the power does cut, and so long as we have sunshine, which is the challenge, we actually have battery. Which usually powers us overnight, and the next day we'll get most of the day if it's not sunny, but then there comes a point, right?
that if you don't have sunshine on the solar panels, the solar doesn't charge the battery and the battery doesn't power the house. So we do have a little bit of backup, but if we don't have sunshine, it's not going to work. So hence the reason I'm checking my fridge. I'm cooking things up, okay? And we do also have, I guess, our backup is because we travelled in our caravan that time, for that period of time in COVID, and some of you were along for that journey. We have in the back of our four-wheel drive an inverter, a big inverter. We've got double batteries under the bonnet, and we've got a 2,000 watt pure sine inverter, an end drive one. Some of you guys will remember those videos from, I took you on that journey with me. I'm so grateful for those of you who was around back then. Say hi if you were, because I know a lot of you are still watching on. So if needed, it wouldn't be the beginning of like outages. It'll be as we go on. We can run a Thermomix out of the boot of the car. We used to be able to run it out the caravan. It had an inverter too with decent batteries, but the car can also run it. So we actually can do that too. So I actually could cook, but it's one of those things that, you know, you don't want to use the batteries up on that if you don't need to. And that's why I'm prepping ahead now. Oh, why does that camera keep going fuzzy? That's why I'm prepping ahead now, because I want to make sure that, you know, we don't have to use it unless we have to. All right, this is ready. And I've only got one more bread roll to roll. Can you believe that? Now you'll notice when you're not doing the first prove on these bread rolls, it is a tougher dough. It doesn't want to work with you. It tries to work against you, but it's still doable. Okay, so this is the 12th one. So 2 minutes, I think that was 2 minutes to do 12. So don't get too hung up on like, if the side looks like that, don't worry, as it proves, it's very forgiving. Okay, so you put them finger width apart, like so. And by the way, those of you who are running, I can't count, guys, 13. Okay, we'll just, a baker's dozen, right? Those of you who, what was I going to say? No, never mind. All right, let's go. Squash. This needs to be covered with a mat. So your thermo mat, put in a warm spot until they're nice and fluffy. Finger width apart, they'll be touching each other, they'll be hugging each other. That's when you know it's ready. Preheat your oven, put it in the oven. They take about 35 minutes. Now, if you want hamburger patty ones, whether that's square style, put a tin on top. So put another oven mat on top and put the tin on top, and it makes them go sideways and they cook rather than cook upwards. So there's a little tip. Hello, Raylene, lovely to see you. Okay, butternut squash. Now, as I said, I've left the seeds, I've left the skin, and oh, I was on a negative, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Now, I don't know what else is in this recipe. I don't think I've ever cooked this recipe. Oh dear, not enough, that's okay. I've got the pumpkin here, let's just cut it up. Okay. And it says approximately 2 centimetre cubes. I've got to say mine are very generous 2 centimetre cubes. I'm just putting it into chunks that kind of fit down the blade shaft. That'll do. Next, coconut milk. Not doing coconut milk. It is shelf stable, but my intent was not to make it a coconut pumpkin one. For those joining me now, I've picked the wrong recipe. Somehow today, I have grabbed the wrong recipe. So, no surprises. All right. Just putting about 400 in. What is going to let this soup down is the fact that I do not have veggie stock. Okay, it's on the to-dos of what I need to make. It just hasn't made it to the top of the list today. Well, recently, I should say. And that's going to be sad for the soup. But again, if we are in the dark and we don't have power, I don't think anyone's going to complain about having soup, even if it's not the best flavour. Okay. Oh, there's the water. We will put that 100 in because I was a little short on the other one. Okay. Probably a little more than 100 I just put in. Yeah, that made up for what I was short before. There's my veggie stock that I don't have. It says stock cube, guys. Don't buy stock cubes anymore. Okay, when you go to Thermomix, we don't do that. So I'm going to put in a teaspoon of salt. In a veggie stock that you've made, it's actually probably less than that. Probably shouldn't have put in that much, but Anyway, we don't get salt any other way at my house unless we put it on our dinner. So just depend on if it then ends up being too salty. We'll deal with that later. All right. There's the salt. Oh no, it says 1 teaspoon. So the fact that I put in a teaspoon as well as veggie stock that I don't have, it'll be okay. All right, pinch of ground pepper. What did I read a second ago, guys? Oh, cayenne pepper. Yeah, not going to put that in. Okay, simmering basket on top, because that's what we do when we're cooking this stuff off. And it's going to cook for 20 minutes. Speed 100 degrees. Now, at the end of this, I'm not going to talk over it. Let me just tell you what it does at the end. At the end, we have our measuring cup, and we put our measuring cup back in place. And we turn it up. Now, if you have a TM5 or 31, you don't have blend mode. So you need to go to speed 5, wait for it to get to speed and stop kind of bouncing a little bit. Then go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for 1 minute, okay? We on a TM6, we have this blend mode. It does that for us. But remember your measuring cup. Okay, you do not want pumpkin soup. There's enough things that we're going to be cleaning up from the wind in the coming days. We do not need pumpkin soup around our kitchen. Okay, so measuring cup in, but do not hold it down. Let it do its job. It will bounce. It needs to let the steam out. Okay, it has to let the steam out. So just let it do its job at blending till it's silky smooth. Okay, then once it's done that, you want to leave it on the bench. You want to let it to cool. And I mean, the fridges are working now. Put it in the fridge. Yeah, but if you're doing this, you know, and you're like, okay, the fridges are already out. Maybe you do have a caravan that you are able to plug into an inverter in the caravan and cook this up. It can sit out. Okay, you've got a couple, 3 days on the bench, not a problem, because there's nothing in it that's going to sour. Okay, you're all good. After about 3 days, smell it. That would be my advice. There's no dairy in it. It just might not, like the waters are going to separate out of it and things like that. But I'm going to go back. I'm going to cook this recipe, okay? If you guys have, as I said, suggestions, if you've got questions, if you're not sure what to use that chunk of something random, I don't know, brisket in your fridge, send a message today. Let's make sure nothing goes to waste. Nothing has to be chucked in the bin, okay? Keep your freezers closed, keep your fridge closed, especially if the power does go out. You know, grab some things now you can freeze. If you've got some ice cream containers, freeze them with water, because maybe they are something you can put into your fridge to keep the fridge chilled longer, if it comes to that. But otherwise, I'm sure I'll be back to you again soon. I did have a newsletter I was going to get out to you. I was actually hoping to get it out tonight, but I don't think that's high on the priority list right now. So we might push that back till Crazy Elf is out of the way in the coming days, and I'll get a newsletter out to you. I have some birthday announcements to be made to you, so I will get that to you. If you haven't got my essentials list, TMXing Adventures, you can see it on my shirt.com.au. When you sign up as a subscriber, you actually get an essentials list. Now, it's possibly a little too late to go to the shops and make sure you've got your pantry well stocked, right, with milk powder and the things that, you know, those of you who have been around a long time, you've already got them. But for next time, then you're organized and aware, and you've always got that checklist of what you should have or what you want to have, and you vary it. Those of you in my Patreon, you've got the templates. You can actually take out the things. You know, if you're allergic to almonds, you're not going to bother to have almonds on that list. You'll take that out, and you may have something else there. But otherwise, guys, take care, stay safe. Don't go out unless you have to. All the things, fill up those water cans and your caravan water and your everything else now. You know, before all this crazy, and make sure, yeah, let's cook up our fridge. Let's make sure that stuff is not going to go to waste. But otherwise, take care, and I'm here to support you, so reach out as you need. If you need a chat, give me a call as well. Always happy to talk. But take care, and I'll see you in the next video soon. Bye for now.